Why do so many people, intelligent, motivated, and well-intentioned people, keep repeating the same self-destructive patterns? Why do we start projects with excitement, only to abandon them halfway through? Why do we sabotage healthy relationships, procrastinate on our most important goals, and knowingly make choices that work against us again and again? The most common answers are familiar: lack of discipline, laziness, low self-esteem, weak character. But these explanations are wrong, deeply wrong. According to neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky, author of Behave, The Biology of Humans at Our Best and Worst, self-sabotage is not a personal failure. It is not a moral flaw. It is a neurological conflict, a biological battle taking place inside your brain. On one side is your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking, planning, self-control, and long-term vision. On the other side is the limbic system, older, faster, more primitive. A system programmed to seek immediate pleasure, avoid discomfort, and conserve energy at all costs. And in this silent war, the limbic system almost always wins. This is not a metaphor. It is science. Your brain was shaped by millions of years of evolution, not to help you achieve dreams, build a meaningful life, or reach your potential, but to keep you alive in a brutal, unpredictable world. In that world, the brain that reacted quickly, avoided risk, and chased immediate reward was the brain that survived. But today, that same survival system has become an internal saboteur. It reacts to emails as if they were predators. It treats boredom like danger. It interprets discomfort as a threat. Your brain is not concerned with your happiness. It is not interested in your purpose. It does not care about self-actualization. It is optimized for short-term safety and comfort. And that is why you fail, not because you are weak, but because you are obeying a brain running on outdated software. In this video, we will take a deep dive into the hidden mechanics of the human mind. You will understand why you self-sabotage, even when you desperately want to change. We will explore the neuroscience behind procrastination, impulsivity, dopamine, and decision fatigue. And most importantly, you will learn how to hack this system, not with heroic willpower, but with strategic intelligence. Because if you keep fighting against your own brain, you will lose. But if you learn to redesign the battlefield, you can finally stop self-sabotaging. This is not just a video. It is a survival manual for those who are at war with themselves. Most people live with a comforting illusion, the belief that there is a single, coherent self in control. A rational mind that observes reality, makes decisions, and acts with logic and intention. This story feels safe. It allows us to believe that we are autonomous beings, masters of our thoughts, owners of our choices. But neuroscience tells a far more disturbing truth. You do not have a mind. You have many. The human brain is not a unified entity. It is a collection of competing systems, modules, circuits, and networks, each with its own agenda, each fighting for control. When you say, "I want to change," that desire comes from one system. When you wake up and hit the snooze button, that action comes from another. And the reason you keep repeating the same patterns is not weakness, it is conflict inside your skull. Parts of your brain want radically different things. Your prefrontal cortex thinks in years. It plans. It delays gratification. It imagines futures that do not yet exist. But the limbic system lives in now. It does not care about who you could become. It cares about comfort. It cares about safety. It cares about relief. And it is faster, much faster. When you plan to wake up early to train, that plan is real. But when the alarm goes off, discomfort appears. And in that moment, the limbic system does not negotiate. It reacts to a YouTube video. 5 more minutes. A quick scroll. A small escape. The impulse does not pass through logic. It emerges fully formed. By the time your rational mind becomes aware of what is happening, the decision has already been made. Sapolsky shows that the limbic system operates in milliseconds. It triggers emotion, desire, and action before consciousness even arrives. Your awareness is late to its own life, and once the behavior is complete, another system activates: rationalization. I'm too tired today. I'll do it tomorrow. It wasn't that important anyway. Your brain does not just sabotage your actions, that it lies to your consciousness to protect the illusion of control. This internal division is not new. Freud described it as the conflict between the id, ego, and superego. Jung called it the shadow. Today, neuroscience gives it a physical form. This is not psychology. This is biology. And here is the most important realization: as long as you believe that wanting to change is enough, you will continue to fail, because there is no sovereign self making decisions. There are systems that must be managed, not judged, redirected, not shamed. Self-sabotage is not a moral error. It is an architectural problem. And once you see this, everything changes. Because if the mind is divided, then the question is no longer, why am I like this? The question becomes, why was the human brain built this way? To answer that, we have to go back, far back, to a world that no longer exists. Asterisk, to understand why you sabotage your own goals, you have to face a deeply uncomfortable truth. The brain you are using today was not designed for the life you are living. It is the product of millions of years of evolution, shaped in a world of danger, scarcity, and constant uncertainty. For most of human history, survival was everything. Our ancestors were not trying to be productive. They were not trying to be fulfilled. They were not trying to find their purpose. They were trying not to die. And to survive in that world, the brain developed very specific priorities: react quickly, avoid pain, conserve energy, seek immediate rewards. Never assume tomorrow is guaranteed. In that environment, long-term planning was a luxury. Comfort was rare. Discomfort often meant death. So the brain that hesitated, reflected too much, or ignored immediate signals of fear and desire was the brain that got eliminated. What survived is what you inherited. Now fast forward to the modern world. You no longer hunt for food. You are not fleeing predators. You can plan years, even decades, ahead, but your brain has not changed nearly as fast as your environment. It still interprets discomfort as danger. It still prioritizes immediate relief over long-term benefit. It still treats uncertainty as a threat. When you try to sit down and work on a long-term project, your brain does not see growth or future success. It sees effort, uncertainty, mental strain, into an ancient survival system that looks like risk. So it pulls you away, not because it hates you, but because it is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Robert Sapolsky makes this painfully clear. The brain did not evolve to make you successful. It evolved to maximize your chances of survival and reproduction. That's it. Happiness, meaning, fulfillment, these are modern concepts. Your nervous system does not recognize them as priorities. This is what scientists call evolutionary mismatch. You live in a world of abundance, with a brain programmed for scarcity, and modern life makes this mismatch worse. Endless notifications, infinite entertainment, ultra-processed food, constant stimulation. Every one of these hijacks the same ancient circuits that once helped you survive. So when you procrastinate, when you scroll instead of create, when you avoid the work that matters, this is not a malfunction. It is perfect functionality applied to the wrong environment. And there is one chemical that sits at the center of this entire process. A molecule that quietly shapes your desires, your habits, and your future. Its name is dopamine, and it may be the most powerful saboteur you've never seen. Imagine you are given a choice. You can work on a project that could transform your life in a year. Or you can watch a short video. Right now, you know which option is better. You are not confused, and yet, something inside you leans toward the easier path. That force has a name: dopamine. For decades, dopamine was misunderstood as the pleasure chemical, but modern neuroscience, and Sapolsky is very clear on this, tells a different story. Dopamine is not about pleasure itself. It is about anticipation. About motivation. About what your brain decides is worth pursuing. Every urge you feel to check your phone, eat something unnecessary, open a new tab, abandon a task, begins with dopamine. And dopamine has a bias, a dangerous one. It strongly prefers rewards that are immediate, certain, and easy. This bias is called temporal discounting. Your brain literally reduces the value of a reward the further it exists in the future. A small pleasure now feels more real than a meaningful achievement later. A chocolate today has more neurological weight than a healthier body in 3 months. A short video now triggers more motivation than studying to change your life. This is not a failure of discipline. It is biology. Dopamine evolved in a world where waiting was risky. In a hostile environment, it made sense to consume what was available now instead of gambling on an uncertain future. But in the modern world, this same system quietly destroys long-term ambition. It makes the future feel abstract, distant, unreal, and the present feel irresistible. The more you obey these impulses, the more your brain learns. Neurons that fire together wire together. Each time you choose instant reward over long-term progress, you strengthen that pathway. Over time, the behavior becomes automatic. What once required temptation now happens without thought. You don't decide to sabotage yourself, you default to it. And here is the most disturbing part. Dopamine does not just influence what you do. It shapes who you become. Your habits carve your identity, and modern industries understand this better than most people ever will. Social media, streaming platforms, fast food, online shopping. They are not competing for your attention. They are competing for your dopamine system, and they are winning. So the question is no longer, how do I resist temptation? The real question is, why does willpower fail so consistently? To answer that, we have to confront another myth, the myth of unlimited self-control. We are taught to believe that success is a matter of strength, that disciplined people simply want it more, that productive people resist temptation better, that self-control is a personal virtue. But neuroscience dismantles this belief completely. Willpower is not infinite. It is a biological resource, and like any resource, it gets depleted. The part of your brain responsible for self-control, the prefrontal cortex, is metabolically expensive. Every decision you make drains it. Every impulse you resist weakens it. Every choice, no matter how small, consumes energy. This is known as decision fatigue. By the time you reach the end of a typical day, your rational brain is exhausted, not because you are weak, but because you have been deciding all day long what to wear, what to eat, how to respond, what to ignore, what to click, what to postpone, hundreds of micro decisions. And when the prefrontal cortex is tired, something predictable happens. Control collapses. The limbic system takes over. The brain shifts into low-energy mode and defaults to what is easiest, safest, and most familiar. That is why you abandon good intentions at night. That is why motivation disappears when you need it most. That is why discipline fails precisely when it matters. Sapolsky explains that this is not psychological weakness. It is physiology. The brain conserves energy by handing control to automatic systems. Autopilot takes over, and autopilot was not designed for long-term growth. It was designed for efficiency and comfort. This realization destroys the fantasy of heroic self-control. No one is disciplined all the time, not monks, not athletes, not high performers. The difference is not character. It is design. People who appear disciplined structure their lives to minimize decisions. They remove temptation before it appears. They automate behavior. They protect their cognitive energy. They do not fight themselves all day. They make fighting unnecessary, because the truth is brutal. If you rely on willpower to overcome self-sabotage, you are already losing. The battle is not won at the moment of temptation. It is won before temptation ever appears, and that brings us to the most important shift you can make. Stop Trying to become stronger. Start becoming smarter. In the next section, you will learn how to engineer your environment so that progress becomes automatic and sabotage becomes difficult. This is not motivation. This is mental engineering. Asterisk. If the brain is a machine built for survival, not for self-actualization, then fighting it with motivation is pointless. You don't defeat a machine with emotion, you defeat it with design. Most people fail not because they lack effort, but because they rely on willpower in an environment engineered to make them fail. Stop self-sabotaging. You must stop asking, how do I control myself? And start asking, what is my environment training me to do? Because behavior does not begin with choice. It begins with availability. The limbic system reacts to what is closest, easiest, and fastest. If the sabotaging option is always more accessible than the productive one, the outcome is already decided. This is where behavioral engineering begins. First, eliminate unnecessary choices. Every decision is a chance to fail. High performers reduce trivial decisions to protect their cognitive energy. They wear similar clothes. They eat predictable meals. They follow fixed routines, not because they lack creativity, but because they understand biology. If you want to stop eating junk food, don't rely on restraint. Don't buy it. If you want to read more, don't try harder. Leave the book where your hand naturally goes. Second, increase friction for sabotage. The brain follows the path of least resistance. If distraction is easy, distraction will make sabotage uncomfortable. Log out of social media. Delete the apps. Use long passwords. Remove shortcuts. Each layer of friction gives your rational brain time to wake up. Third, reduce friction for progress. Prepare in advance. Clothes ready. Tools visible. Workspace clean. The easier it is to start, the less your brain resists. You don't need motivation to begin. You need momentum. Fourth, use dopamine against itself. Dopamine responds to anticipation. Attach immediate reward to difficult behavior. Only listen to your favorite podcast while exercising. Only drink your best coffee after deep focus. This is called temptation bundling. Over time, your brain stops associating effort with pain and starts associating it with reward. Finally, replace vague intentions with commands. I'll do it tomorrow is useless. The brain doesn't respond to ambiguity. Instead, use if, then rules. If it's 7 a.m., I write for 30 minutes. If I finish this task, I take a break. These rules bypass deliberation. The exact moment sabotage happens, these are not productivity tricks. They are defensive systems, shields, against instincts that evolved long before modern life. But even with perfect systems, there is still one variable left: timing. Because just as important as what you do is when you do it. Asterisk at this point, one truth should be clear. You were never broken. You were never lazy. You were never weak. You were never lacking discipline. You were simply using a brain that was never designed for the world you live in. A brain optimized for survival, not for success. For immediate safety, not long-term fulfillment. For comfort, not transformation. Self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It is behavior that makes perfect sense inside a machine built to avoid pain, conserve energy, and chase short-term reward. The problem was never you. The problem was believing that motivation and willpower were enough. They are not. You don't overcome self-sabotage by becoming more forceful. You overcome it by becoming more intelligent than your impulses. By designing your environment so that the right behavior is the easiest behavior. By reducing decisions instead of demanding discipline. By working with dopamine instead of fighting it. By acting at the right time. When your rational brain is strongest, when you understand the machinery, shame disappears, and with it, the endless cycle of self-blame. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, how do I design a system where the better choice wins automatically? That shift changes everything. Because once you stop fighting your brain, you can finally start using it. And this is the quiet truth most people never hear. Your future will not be shaped by your intentions. It will be shaped by what you repeatedly do when no one is watching. By the environments you tolerate, by the habits you automate, by the systems you build. Ask yourself this. What is one change you can make today that removes friction from progress and adds friction to sabotage? Write it in the comments. I read everyone. And if this video helped you understand what's been happening inside your head, don't stop here. The next video goes even deeper into identity, habit formation, and how to permanently break the cycle of self-sabotage. Click it now. Your transformation doesn't begin with motivation. It begins with understanding.